Right, today we talk about the cognates and the false cognates. Remember that we have a kind of a deal, so grab your paper, pen, pencil, or even your cell phone applications, whatever, because it's going to be something interesting. Because the idea is that I can show you that you don't need to use a dictionary all the time. The idea is to avoid using the dictionary. Okay, so as you can see, we are going to talk about this thing. Okay, so then we have the cognate words, or cognates if you want to. Sometimes some people call it transparent words. Okay, it's also possible. And then we have the false cognates. We don't say fake or any other word. We usually say false. Well, the word cognate in Portuguese is exactly similar, okay? Because you just change, for instance, letter E to letter O, and then you have the translation. As a teacher, I tell my students not to be translating all the time or every time they wish to do so. The idea is to avoid translation, to avoid using dictionaries, and this topic helps you do that. I remember that some weeks ago I presented a kind of a mini course in which I showed people more than 1,000 words. But remember that in English, according to some researchers, we have about 25% of the English language we have like cognate words, so of the English language. It's not me, Jerry, saying, it's according to some people that say that. Some other guys say that it's about 30%. I read someplace that it's about 40%. So imagine, if you know the English language about 25, 30, 40% as they say, man, you just need like 60% to learn. And then you may say, well, that's great. I wouldn't say that's great, man. You don't know half of the language, so you still have the other half to learn. So that's why if you just learn cognate words, remember, put that in your mind. It's not enough, but it's very helpful, okay? So, in other words, cognate words then are going to be those ones that are very similar in one language, let's say English, in Portuguese, or Italian, or German, whatever. And why does that happen? Because of two great languages, Greek and Latin. Of course, you're talking about the so-called Romanic words, just Romanic languages, sorry. So just like Portuguese. So when you have these, let me put it like this, just like an equation. Like when you have Greek plus Latin, and then you have some, let's say, English words. And then they lead, let me see if it's okay, yes, to cognates, just to be fine. Okay, because let me see here, Greek, Latin, English words, and then we get cognate. Okay, but I think it's not a good thing, so let me just do something else here. Let me put like this. Much better, because if you have then the English language, which is going to be similar, okay, I would say equal there, but it's similar actually, and then you have the Portuguese language, so then we have the cognates. Of course, if I give you the examples, you're going to understand it better. But remember that there are thousands of possibilities of using cognate words. So I'll just give you some examples. I'll start, let me put here like examples. I'm going to give you an example of a cognate word, one that is very traditional for me. I use the word music, for instance. The word music in Portuguese, we just need to add a. Yeah, but not only. You need to use this accent. An accent is something that I'm going to talk to you about, okay? So then you have the word music, that you don't need to use a dictionary to know what it means. On the other hand, you have the word song, which is very far from the word C-A-N, C-cedilla, A with till O at the end. So you see, there are words in English that are very easy to understand, or as people say, to translate. So these are the transparent words, or of course we can say the cognate words, the cognates. Okay, so I'll leave music and song here just for a while. Then another one that is traditional is to use the word parent. Well, sometimes parent we understand as, let me put it like this, just let me, like this. We understand in Portuguese like the word relative, but it's not relative. When we talk about parent, we're talking about the father or mother. Sometimes you can talk about both, but then you say parents, the father and the mother together. So the second one is what we call a false cognate. It means that the word seems to be or to have a certain meaning, let's say, in Portuguese. But actually, it does not mean that. It means something different, sometimes totally different. So in situations like these, you need to be more aware and more attentive also, because the false cognates are going to put you into trouble, especially when you open a door. Let me write here, because when you have there, for example, push and pull, let's say push and pull like this, like this, then you know exactly what I mean. Well, so getting back here, so remember that the word music is the cognate word. So let me write here, so cognate word. And the word parent is actually a false cognate. Sometimes people call it a false friend. Let me put here friend because I told you cognate, but we can say false friend, okay? It's a little bit strange, right? But okay, that's the way we use, so that's the way it is. And once again, remember what I said. When you read something, you need to be aware that you need to use dictionaries in order to get that. So I'm going to show you a different dictionary today. I'm going to show you the Macmillan Dictionary. Okay, so as you use the Macmillan Dictionary, just pay attention because you are going to have different, not different, just one kind of pronunciation. Remember that the Longman Dictionary of Contemporary English that I used before, you had American English and British English. This one, no, has only British English. So let me write here then the word music, just to show you the way it appears. So remember you have here the pronunciation, and here you have UK. UK stands for United Kingdom, okay? So it goes like this. Let me just kind of listen to it a little.
Music, music, music.
That's it. So then you have the word music. So then you have that music means sounds made by voices or instruments arranged in a way that is pleasant to listen to. I don't know if you realize it, but anytime I do this, and this, and this, the words change color. It's so nice because every dictionary has a different feature, a different kind of characteristic. So when it happens, it means that you can use this in order to go to that word. For example, let's get here the word, as you're talking about the word music, let's get the word like instrument. Instrument or instruments is a transparent word. So I'll click. And then we go to gas, instrument. So then you have here again, when you say instrument, remember that this symbol here at the very beginning means that this is the stressed syllable. So you don't say like instrument or anything like this. You say instrument. So you go, let's say loud, and then you go lower. So it sounds like this.
Instrument. Instrument.
And then again we have here explanation for it, etc. So you see, only here we have words like equipment, used, right? I think so. In, because it's very related to Portuguese, science, medicine, technology. Down here, scientific, instruments, microscopes, and it goes on. Guys, you're going to realize that when you know transparent words, you say, guy, I understood 10, 20, 30% of the text. Yeah, but remember that some words have Anglo-Saxon origin. So they are not related to Portuguese. And these are the ones that you need to be worried about. Not to mention the false cognates. So let's get the word parent now, which is example of a false friend that I gave you. So then you have there, parent. Definition, a mother or father, because if it's a mother, it's a mother, it's a father, it's a father. But if you don't want to say that it's either a mother or a father, so you say parent. Or if you want to say both, right, the two of them, you say parents. Do not forget that, of course, you're going to say grandmother and grandfather. And when it comes to both of them, you can say grandparents or grandparent, not to say grandmother, grandfather. This is something obvious, but I think it's important to say. So, see here now, an animal or plant that produces a new animal or plant. Remember that the words do not have only one meaning. Words have 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. I guess you remember that some minutes ago I said accent. Most people remember accent. Let me just play it for you. Listen to it.
accent, accent,
All right. So then you have here that the accent is a way of saying words that shows what country, region, or social class someone comes from. That's okay. Example, British accent, American accent, etc. Then pay attention to this. A mark above a letter that shows you how you pronounce it. There's an acute accent on the word E. On the first E. Okay? So this is something that you need to be aware, because number 3, the correct emphasis on a particular part of a word or phrase when you say it. A special emphasis given to something. So it goes on. So sometimes when you want to say like the stressed syllable, the way people are going to pronounce certain words, for example, then you use the word accent too. So this is something that you need to remember. Not only the way you pronounce it, but also the meaning of it. Not to mention, of course, the spelling of that word. So remember that anytime you have a kind of, doubt about which word you are going to use, remember, dictionaries are here to be used. By the way, besides this Macmillan Dictionary that you have now, I'm going to show you something that I think is very useful. And I tell people from time to time, and I know that not everybody uses, but it's important, even if you do not understand as much as you wish to. Well, not the dictionary, come on, the newspaper. So I have here the USA Today. If you take a look, and if you have like the printed version, how do you say that now? I forgot the word, but let's say that you have like an ebook. How do you call that thing now? The PDF. I got it now, okay? The PDF. So if you have the PDF version, you're going to see that this is today's edition, today's issue. If you just take a look at these, you're going to have some words that you understand. Let's see, abortion, for example. It's very related to Portuguese. Test is another word. Investigation is another one. Okay? Words like this, Jerry, weak is a transparent word. No, of course not. When you translate or when you understand it, it's totally different. So when you say that it's a cognate word, it's because you don't need to use any dictionary in case you don't know English. Like this, when you have the word sport or sports, you don't need the dictionary. Put E at the beginning, E at the end, and there you have it. Another word here that we have, it's opinion. In fact, words that end in I-O-N, the suffix I-O-N, like opinion, abortion, investigation, they are going to be, most of the time, transparent words. Well, other examples, important, you have here, and, cost, okay, in this case it's a verb, but cost, you just change like O and then you use you, but it helps. But here we have what we call a false friend, a false cognate, because college is not exactly a school for kids. Remember that college is part of a university. So college is for higher education. So it's not exactly what it seems to mean in Portuguese and some other languages, of course. Well, I won't go long, but let's take a look at this. Abortion, justice, what else? Court, okay? But you see, if you just know abortion, justice, and court, man, what about on, chief, wanted, to go, slow, but, was, hurry, or in a hurry? Okay, so you need to know these things. So as I said before, learning, mastering these cognate words is not enough, but it's part of the whole process of learning, acquiring the English language. Because when it comes to the whole pack, the whole text, the whole news or piece of news as you have, you're not going to understand it 100%. Sometimes you're lucky enough, and then you can understand 50, 60%. We don't know the words. But then let me just show you something else here that is kind of long. Okay, let's get this one. Remember, no, we don't have any. Let's get back to it. Remember that you need to know prepositions, you need to know verbs, you need to know conjunctions, you need to know, lots of things. It's not only cognate words are going to save your ass, as we say in English, right? Good English. It's not going to save your ass. It's not going to save you. It's going to help you. But it's just part, as I said, of a whole package for sure. Okay? Getting back there to the previous idea, I'm going to give you some examples of other words that I have. And these words are going to help you a little bit because I think they are important ones. So let me put here like other examples. So first of all, let me give you some examples of cognate words. Of course, I have a kind of a list here. I'm going to take a look at them. Names of people, before I forget. Names of people are usually cognate words, okay? Check it. I think it's important that you check. Well, I'm going to use here just a half dozen words like hospital. Another one that I remember is hotel. Let me take a look at my list here. Another word is like dentist. Another one that I remember is museum. So we have 4. Let me see. Chinese. I think it's a nice word. I think you guys can see. Let me just put it a little bit up here because, okay, now you see only the examples. So hospital, hotel, dentist, museum, Chinese. Well, and let me use another word like, okay, maybe air. Okay? Yeah, because it's short, not to break the line. So hospital, hotel, dentist, museum, Chinese, and air. What am I going to say now? Well, that remember, hospital is the same or has the same spelling as in Portuguese. Hospital. So hospital. Even in Portuguese, you don't need any, let's say, mark, right? Just like an accent there, you don't need anything. It's the same way. The same thing happens to hotel. Hotel. So hotel in Portuguese and lots of other languages is the same spelling. But you remember, I said before, you write the same way, exactly the same way, but you pronounce differently, not totally different. But you say hospital, hotel, okay? And some people say hotel. No, guy, it's hotel. Check the dictionary there online, it's gonna help you. Dentist, on the other hand, remember that doesn't have that A at the end. So in cases like this, you need to remember the spelling for dentist. Dentist. Remember that when you learn the alphabet, the letters of the alphabet, it's a nice chance you have for spelling the words. Museum now has an extra letter M. So in situations like this, you just drop letter M and then you have the meaning. So then you go M-U-S-E-U-M. M-U-S-E-U-M. So then you have the word museum. And attention to the pronunciation. Museum. Any doubt? Dictionary, online one if you want to. Here we have the word Chinese. Again, we have one extra letter, and we don't have here the circumflex. So you need that hat, as we say sometimes in the first letter E, but you don't have the last one in Portuguese. Another one is that Chinese, Japanese, Korean, any other, let's say, nationality, may it be Asian or African or American, it doesn't matter. You need to use capitalized. The initial is capitalized. In this case, the initial letter is letter C. So then you go Chinese. So then you have Chinese. The other word I just wrote here is AIR. Remember that in Portuguese you drop the I in between, and then you have the word AR. Of course, that's the translation in Portuguese. But remember what I said before. When you have the words hospital, hotel, dentist, museum, Chinese, and air, you don't need to translate them, and that's exactly what I'm trying to convey, trying to say to you. The idea is not to use these guys here, it's not to use the dictionaries. Avoid them. Why, Jerry, am I supposed to avoid the dictionaries? Because now you have the information in your brain. Now you learned, and then you don't need the dictionary. That's what I'm proposing to you just now. Now, we have the words like push. Push is not push. It's exactly the opposite. It's push. Because when you do it, you pull. Remember that this is something that we see in some doors. Glass doors probably. But there you have push, pull. And then remember that they are different from the meaning we have in Portuguese, for example. Another word that I can say that it's a false cognate is the word fabric. Because fabric is not a factory. The word you want is factory, okay? The word fabric, it's usually this, okay? So this is not linen, it's probably cotton. So this is fabric. Okay, so if you pay attention to these words, you're not going to have any problem. Well, I have another word here, but I'm not going to say now. It's going to be the last one. It's going to be number 4. We have the word journal. Guys, journal is not like a newspaper, like the USA Today I showed you some minutes ago. The journal is going to be a kind of a, let's say, academic magazine or academic publication, a kind of something very specific, scientific somehow. Some other people keep a kind of a diary, so they call it a journal, by the way. So remember that when you have words like push, pull, fabric, and journal, when you read it there, you say, man, but I don't think it's the newspaper. You are going to realize that when the word is in a context, it's much easier for you to understand, to realize that the meaning is really strange. If it's really strange, it's because it's not a cognate word. It's a false friend. It's a false cognate, in fact. Another word that I think it's nice, and I love when I do this, especially in the classroom, is the word beef. Because the word beef in Portuguese is steak. And when I tell people, guys, when you go to the supermarket, when you buy there filé de frango, I'll repeat, it's Portuguese, filé de frango. Take a look there on the package. If it's written there, filé de frango. No. Nowadays, pay attention to this when you go to the supermarket next time. When you get there the package and you say there, steak de frango. That's what the guys say. Steak de frango on the package. And this is something that I find so interesting because, man, you buy things. Read the package, for God's sake. Okay? Because then you will never have this kind of problem. And another thing, before I forget, you don't say stick. Because when you say stick, and then it's another word. The English is so great because of this. It's a steak and the other is a stick. Forget the stick for a while. And remember that steak is what some people understand as beef. But beef is a false cognate. Because usually beef is a, let's say, a big, a portion of meat the whole part, let's get like this. This is the beef, okay? And when you have just one piece, that's the steak, okay? So that's why false cognates, just like fake news, are going to fool you, are going to bring problems to you if you do not pay attention to them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last one, because of course to me it means a lot. When students ask, oh Jerry, how do I say lingua in English? I say, well, maybe idiom. You say idiom? Isn't it language? Like, yeah, guy, you can say language. Of course you can say language. But why not idiom? You see? But then they say, no, but Jerry, come on, but idiom. I say, no, man, I'm just kidding. Because idiom is what we call a false cognate. Okay? Remember that we have those idiomatic expressions. So when I'm teaching this kind of cognate, false cognate, I like to tell students things for them to check the dictionary. Because when I create some situations there, they say, Jerry, but it's so weird, right? Because you're saying the English language. So then we can translate as idiom in Portuguese. Because the idiom is going to bring you some kind of trouble. So if you remember these idiomatic expressions, so then you understand that it's not the word like this, okay? So when you have some idioms, it's going to be something like to answer the call of nature. I like this expression a lot. So it means what? That you're going to the bathroom, that you're going to do, as people say, number one, number two. So this is a kind of idiom. It's a kind of idiomatic expression. So if you want to say lingua, idioma, in English, we usually say language. I don't know any specific word for idioma. We say language. And that's what we need to understand when we study the other language. In this case, of course, you're talking about English. Well, so getting back to the... okay, I'm going to keep here for a while because I need to say something before. We have then here the cognate words: hospital, hotel, dentist, museum, Chinese, and air. And then we have the false cognates: push, pull, fabric, journal, beef, and idiom. And then you ask me, Jerry, but which ones should I pay attention to more or a little bit more? Well, a little bit more to the false cognates, because they are the ones that are going to bring you trouble. The ones that are cognate words, you don't need to worry. You need just to kind of memorize. The ones that you know that are going to be troublesome to you, that are going to put you in hot water, okay, that are going to make you sound like a fool, depending on the situation you are in. So these are the ones that you need to pay attention to. And such words are the false friends, the false cognates. My suggestion, let me write here. My suggestion is a very simple one, that same one. Make up lists of, let's say, let's put like this, cognates or false cognates. Okay, I like doing this, using between parentheses, because you can say a list of cognates or false cognates at the same time. It depends on you. But there is one thing that I tell students over and over again, repeatedly. That's what I do. And if I do that, students do not really pay attention to, because, man, I need to repeat that. Make up long lists. Don't be lazy. Make up lists with 100, 200, 1,000, and 1,000,000 words. What's the problem? And you don't need to do that on a single day, on a single week, on a single month. Do that every single day. Even if you just add one word, even if you just skip one day or 1 week. But when you have the chance, you go back there and then you add 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, I don't know. You got carried away. You got excited. And then you go and you do a lot. Okay? And then remember that these cognate words and false cognates, they are not usually taught appropriately. I'm just sharing my opinion. They are not taught appropriately in schools, including the language schools, and they are so useful. So this is something that we usually call the language acquisition. Most schools and most people are worried about learning grammar. Guys, learn words, because the words have certain behavior. And this is the case of what we talked about today, the cognates and false cognates. And remember, go for it, because then you know 25, 40 as this 40% as some people say. Well, so that's it for today. I'd like to say thank you very much, and remember, if you liked this video, leave your like, leave your comment, share it, and if you want to be in touch with me, just use my social networks. Keep up the good work. See you next time.